Juz 29 starts with Surah Al-Mulk and goes all the way to Surah Al-Mursalat. The first action point from Juz 29 is from Surah Al-Qalam. Surah Al-Qalam, ayah number 42. In this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about the Day of Judgment. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will order or invite the people to do prostration, but the disbelievers will not be able to do so. Allah says in ayah number 42, يوم يكشف عن ساق ويدعون إلى السجود فلا يستطيعون. The day when the shin will be uncovered and they're invited to prostration, but the disbelievers will not be able to. Think of this ayah, pray 2 rak'ahs and prolong your sujood. Or in any rak'ah, prolong your sujood, making dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes your standing in front of Him good. And makes you able to do sujood when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala invites you on that day to do sujood. Because truly that is success. And the inability to do so is ultimate failure. And the next action point, sisters, is from Surah Al-Haqqa. Ayah number 19. In this ayah, and these verses actually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about 2 groups of people. Those who receive the book in the right hand and those who receive the book on the left hand. In this dunya, when we get a good result, a good report, what do? We announce it, we show it to others. We love to let others know of our success. And Allah says this is exactly what will happen on the Day of Judgment. Allah says in ayah number 19 of Surah Al-Qalam, Surah Al-Haqqa, فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ. So for he who is given his record in his right hand, فَيَقُولُ هَاؤُمُ اقْرَءُوا كِتَابِيَهْ. He will say, here, read my record. This is very relatable. Because if we get something that we love to show, we love to talk about it. We love to announce it. Whereas if the opposite happens, we want to hide it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions a few ayahs down in ayah number 25, وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِشِمَالِهِ فَيَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِي لَمْ أُوتَ كِتَابِيَهْ. The one who receives the book in the left hand, he would say, woe to me, I wish I never received it. يَا لَيْتَنِي لَمْ أُوتَ كِتَابِيَهْ. I wish I was never given my book. Don't we feel that? I wish I never got my report card. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make dua that you receive your book on your right hand. These are du'as that we ask in general. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us Jannah. But these are specific du'as as action points from these specific verses. When we read this, even subhanAllah sisters, when you're reciting the Qur'an, it was from the practice of Rasulullah that he would interact with the ayahs. When there is an ayah speaking about Jannah, he would ask for Jannah. When there was an ayah speaking about hellfire, he would seek refuge from the hellfire. And understanding ayahs like this helps us to take action directly while we're reciting. So make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you your book in your right hand. And make dua, of course, and let's seek protection from Allah that He does not give any of us our book on our left hand. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept us. Yes, you can. It is from the Sunnah, as I said, of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to interact with the verses. Like, inshallah, I'll share the hadith about it. But he would pause in recitation and he would make dua. There's no specific dua to say, but he would make dua asking for something that has been mentioned in the verse. He would seek protection from what the verse is mentioning. This is called interacting with the verses, and this is something from the practice of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes. when you recite it. Of course, this is the action point is for you to make dua in general, to remember during the day and to ask this dua. However, it's also to be done during recitation. Okay, we'll go to the next one, inshallah. Yeah. The next action point is from Surah Al-Muzammil. Surah Al-Muzammil. Here, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructing Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in ayah number 2, قُمِ اللَّيْلَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا نِصْفَهُ أَوْ انقُصْ مِنْهُ قَلِيلًا. Arise to pray the night, except for a little. Half of it or subtract from it a little. This was Allah's command to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam at the beginning of Revelation. He asked him to stand up and pray at night. And in the very next verse, he asked him to recite the Qur'an in slow, melodious tones. Allah says, أَوْ زِدْ عَلَيْهِ وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. So initially, the command was to pray for half the night. And then Allah says, you can reduce a little of it or increase a little. And how? How do you recite the Qur'an? Recite the Qur'an with measured recitation. وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. And recite the Qur'an with measured recitation, with slow, melodious tones. So inshallah, do Qiyam al-Layl. And inshallah, I pray that we're all doing Qiyam al-Layl these nights, if we're able to. And recite the Qur'an with slow, melodious tone, following the verses of Surah Al-Muzammil. وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. And finally, this is the last action point of today, is to seek refuge with Allah from the fire. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Mursalat, the last surah of the Juzz. He describes the fire in ayah number 32. And he says, إِنَّهَا تَرْمِي بِشَرَرٍ كَالْقَصْرِ. Indeed, it throws sparks as huge as a fortress. You know how there are sparks that come out of a fire? The sparks, just the sparks of the fire, of the hellfire, is like a fortress. So seek refuge with Allah. When you read this ayah, seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the hellfire. Remember this ayah. Remember the sparks of the hellfire are as huge as a fortress. And seek refuge with Allah from the hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who receive the book in the right hand and who have the tawfiq and the ability to do those deeds that are from the people who receive the book in the right hand, and to enter Jannah, and to prevent us from deeds and actions that cause us to receive the book in the left hand, and may He protect us from the hellfire. Barakallahu feekum, jazakumullah khair. With this, we'll end the action points of Juzz 29.